Hello everybody, this is Jason from the Millie Paramilitary 2 Para 3 Club. We're on Facebook and we're on Instagram, and I wanted to thank you for joining me for this video. This is a video that I've actually dreaded doing. I won't lie to you guys. I bought this knife a few weeks back, and I haven't not been looking forward to talking about this. And the reason is I'm just kind of scared. It's not because I don't, spoiler alert, I like the knife. But I'm having a hard time gathering my thoughts, and I'm going to give this a try, and I need you guys to hold my hands, okay? So wherever you're at right now, I want you to hold your right hand out, and just know that I'm taking your hand, and we're going to go through this together, okay? Thank you. This is my fanciest, most exotic, most expensive knife I've ever purchased. This is a Elishewitz M2, which actually stands for Model 2. This knife is made in Texas by Elishewitz. Alan is, in my opinion, a master knife maker, and he has been in the game for a long time. The man started his career in the armed forces. From there, he became a tactical weapons expert, and then transitioned into designing and making knives. So you've probably seen his name attached to Kershaw. You've seen his name attached to Benchmade, and now most recently to Hogue Knives. So Alan is a really interesting guy, and if you don't follow his Instagram account, I highly recommend you find it. It's Elishewitz with an E, actually two E's. What I like about his knife designs and his knife making overall is just how traditional and how meticulous the man can be when it comes to making his knives. So, for example, to the best of my knowledge, he does not use a CNC on any portion of his knives. These knives are made by hand. He seems to be a master with a mill. He does tutorials all the time talking about how to set up a lock face. He does tutorials about a jig that he just designed for grinding blades. And also, he does something that I think is really cool, that you'll see on hot rods and you'll see on firearms, but you don't seem to see on knives as often. Let's see if you can make that out right there. He actually turns the titanium on his mill so that you can see the turn marks on the inside of the scales there. And in person, it looks really sharp. And I find that it's very difficult to photograph. So I've been inside, I've been outside, I've been trying to photograph this, and I have a very hard time catching it. But little details like that just make this knife stunning. We have a pocket clip design here that I know many pocket knife designers I've talked to, they talk about and express the challenge of getting a clip to mount to a curved surface. And what he's done here is basically just create some standoffs that go through the carbon fiber. You can see the screws inside there. But that solves that, right? It gives you a really cool pocket clip. Just a beautiful piece of, what do you think? Is it probably titanium? It's probably titanium. On this side of the knife, let's talk about the presentation side. The bolsters are actually steel, and they're Damascus steel. Normally on a knife like this, you would see titanium. You don't see a lot of steel bolsters, at least the ones that I don't see in them. But having the Damascus here is actually kind of cool because you get a little bit of the Damascus look without going pot committed on the whole blade. The handle material is carbon fiber, of course, but you can see that we have these semicircles carved into the carbon fiber. That's actually layers of the sandwich. This material is actually cut on the bias at about a 30-degree angle, giving you that semicircle look. So a very expensive, wasteful way to use carbon fiber. This material, I'm sure, was tremendously expensive because it would not be easy to build a big fat block of that carbon fiber and then cut it at an angle. All the screws seem to be made in-house. I don't remember ever seeing screws like this anywhere else. And you'll notice that, for example, on the pivot screw, there's actually a set screw that comes from the inside the bolster to hold that screw in place so that it doesn't free spin. Isn't that fascinating? Most of these guys will use a keyway or a D-shaped pivot to get around that, but Alan is using a screw to keep that from spinning. Not only that, but I'm assuming it's a screw. Now that I'm looking at it, it might actually be a pin. But yeah, anyway, yeah, but still. Either way, that's a really clever and beautiful way to do that. When you see his knives have a maker's mark on the blade, generally by, it's going to be by the thumb stud unless it's a flipper. If it's a flipper, it will be on the flipper tab. But the maker's mark is right here. You can see his insignia is inlaid into that maker's mark, which is then inlaid into the blade. Speaking of blade, this is cts-xhp steel, and it features a pattern on the treatment. I believe he calls this black snow. It's called black snow, and it looks incredible. It's such a cool treatment that the edge is not super shiny, or excuse me, the blade is not super shiny, but and also it's not super affected. Just really, really tastefully done. Let's talk about the grind for a minute. The grind is wonderful. We have this really cool swedge that goes down the back of the blade that makes it just look kind of evil. We have a nice flat spot here, and then we have the grind on the blade itself. So what we're looking at is a really tough piece of steel that's going to be a good hard use edge, or excuse me, a good hard use piece of steel, but we have the nice flat grind here to make the knife also very slicey. The edge itself, I haven't touched it yet. I don't think I'm going to sharpen it. Not until I'm more confident in my skills, but it is rather sharp and with a nice sharp tip on it. Really a pleasure to use. If we come back here to the handle again, it is a liner lock, titanium liners, I believe, with the really cool anodization, and then also the turn marks on the inside. There's a nice texturing on the outside of the liners. You guys can see that. I really don't know how you do that. I don't think it's a peening. It's probably a media blast, but it goes all the way around to the back, all the way along the liners to the front of the knife. So really a cool look. And then the standoffs are cool. I think most knife designers would not use this many because it creates a lot of weight, but I really do think it looks incredible. I got brave the other day and I pulled these two screws and took the scale off to see how this was all put together. And every other one of these has a screw coming from this direction, and then every other has a screw coming from that direction. So they're pinned on one side and screwed on the other, which is, again, another custom move. I don't think these are off-the-shelf parts. So we're talking about liners that are handmade. We're talking about standoffs that are probably his design. A pocket clip that definitely is not a third-party pocket clip. We're talking about carbon fiber in a very interesting and unique pattern. And then we have Damascus on the bolsters. So really, in every way possible, this is a knife that's very, very different than anything else I have in my collection. It is a pleasure to hold. It is very comfortable in the hand. It looks fantastic. It looks kind of evil, but also not scary looking. If you know what I mean. Sometimes these knives can get a little scary, but this one certainly doesn't look scary at all. So I really don't know what else to say about this knife other than I'm totally in love with it. I love the look of it. I love the heft of it. The bolsters are heavy, and they add a certain mass to the front of the knife. This in the hand, the way that I'm holding it right now, you can feel that a lot of the weight distribution is uneven, and it's because of those bolsters. And if that would weird you out, then this was probably not the knife for you. But there's something cool about the beefy weight of it. But even though it is a little bit front heavy, the center of gravity is right about where you want it to be. So isn't that interesting? I've carried it a few times. It is nice in the pocket. It's a little big. You can see that it's kind of a wide knife comparatively to some of the other ones that you might have in your collection. We're coming in at, what is that? Probably 5/8 of an inch in width. So it is a little bit thick of a knife, but when I compare it to some of the other knives I have in my collection, it's not unusually so. My only complaint about this knife is really one that's my own. I am a left-handed person, and being a lefty, I would very much like this knife to be openable with my left hand. I got brave. Same time I took the scale off, I tried moving the thumb stud, and I found that I could move the thumb stud, but the screw does not sit flush on the wrong side. So I got scared and I moved it back because I really, out of respect to the builder and his design, I don't really want to jerk with it. Now that I own one and I have one, I might get brave enough next year to order one. Perhaps I can order one and have it made truly left-handed. The problem I appreciate is that getting the liners flipped, getting the lock face flipped means that he has to retool everything. So it's probably a long shot, but hey, you never know if you don't ask, right? So again, this is an Allen Elishewitz M2 and cts-xhp with Damascus bolsters and a exquisitely cool carbon fiber on the scales. Titanium liners, a very cool purple color. Yeah, let's talk about that for a second. The purple color is really cool. I believe on all of his knives, he goes with a bold choice on the liner colors. And I just love the fact that it sets off the knife and really gives it a style that is not tactical and it's not silly. It's just very, very pretty. So on the outside, we have this understated look, but on the inside, we have this really pretty color. It sort of reminds me of, like, if you get a really nice suit jacket, you might have the jacket lined with something that's a little more whimsical than the exterior. So that's kind of what it reminds me of, is just a really sharp dressed knife. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope this inspires you to go check out his website, because there's a lot to look at there. I learned something new that I'll probably never need for my own knife collecting purposes, but I learned things about how to make knives, and it makes me appreciate the knives that I have more. And for that, I appreciate you, Alan. Thank you. So that's it. That's the Allen Elishewitz Mark II, Model 2. I hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching. If you want to learn more about knives, you want to hang out and talk about knives, please join us in the Millie Paramilitary 2 Para 3 Club. You're going to find us on Instagram, where there's lots of beautiful, pretty pictures. But if you come to the Facebook group, you're going to be able to engage with a lot of other people just like you that are interested in knives and excited to talk about them. And we allow conversation on anything knife related. So the common thread, as we like to say, is that we love the Spyderco offerings, but everyone's welcome. So thanks for watching. Thanks for watching the video. I appreciate you guys. And we'll talk to you later.